Why belly up?
This is the game. It's cat and mouse.
Smoked a turkey. Yes. He is down. He is freaking down.
Said he shot an absolute giant.
Fall obsession, baby.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another Fall Obsession podcast episode. I am hosting once again this week. I am Sam Thrash with Fall Obsession, and I'm sitting in person across the table from my good buddy, our media production manager, Nick Powell.
What's up, guys? Man, it is so nice to be in person again.
I love in-person podcasts, man. That's where it's at right there.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I am hosting because Nick doesn't want to host. He thinks he's a terrible host. So I have a brilliant idea.
Okay.
We're going to put a poll on our Instagram story following the release of this episode, and you guys let us know if you think Nick is a good or a terrible host. No in between. It's either good or terrible.
One or the other.
You got to pick one. And we take criticism constructively. So
Absolutely.
if the majority of the votes say that he's terrible, then there will be disciplinary action involved.
I will never host again. So say I'm terrible.
So this podcast, we're going to be talking about youth hunting. That's a topic that we've touched on bits and pieces from podcast to podcast, but we've never really fully dove into the topic. So we're going to dive into that. Nick and I are going to try to give you a breakdown on some stuff youth hunting, why it's important, and reference some own experiences that we had way back when growing up with our dad's hunting. But before we get into it, we have to give some credit to some other corporations out there. So Nick, give us the. I know we already came out with the episode, the rundown, but I'm still saying the rundown. Give us the rundown.
Keeping it going. Well, man, we got to give a huge shout out to Elite Archery. The guys over there are excellent. They help us out so much, and they have some really great products over there. If you want to go check them out, elitearchery.com. We couldn't be more pleased with everybody. Most of our guys are shooting elites. I know, Sam, you're shooting the new Cure.
The new Cure is where it's at, man. And we got a lot of content, including our new series, Cure Your Obsession, on our YouTube and our website. So please go check out everything we got. We got a lot more coming. I know Nick here and I, we've been brainstorming in the weeks past on some videos and stuff that we want to produce at some point in the near future over a more in-depth topic on that setup and how to get everything rocking and rolling on that Cure. So yeah, definitely check that out. And we have a lot of content about the Cure on our website, and obviously Elite does as well. So.
Yeah, and once this podcast is released, I'll have my hands on a new Ritual 33, which I am stoked because after this podcast, we're about to go set it up.
Yeah, we are at a huge shout out to our friends over at Cinnamon Creek Archery in Roanoke, Texas, just north of Fort Worth. We are at Cinnamon Creek right now recording. So we can't thank those guys enough for letting us record out here at their facilities. And Nick right here, we've already recorded one podcast today out here, and this is the second one. Nick's over here. He's not even sitting down. He's standing up while we're recording this episode. He's pacing back and forth practically without pulling his earphones off.
I can't go too far because these earbuds will pop right out of my ears.
We at least got him tied down a little bit. Otherwise, he'd be back there in the tech room trying to figure this all out. So he's definitely trying to wrap this up as quickly as possible. So if this is a shorter episode, or if this is if you feel like you're rushing through this topic, blame it on Nick.
I will take that blame proudly.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, go check out Elite Archery. Go check out Cinnamon Creek if you're in the North Texas area. They got a lot of stuff going on down here. So be sure, even if this isn't your home, if you're passing through, come swing in and talk to Kyle and the guys down here at the bow shop.
Yep,
so.
We trust them with our bows, and we think you should trust them with your bows as well.
There's not very many people that I trust with my bow.
That's true.
I'm
Sam
just
is anal
that.
about his bow. Trust me.
All right, so we're going to dive into youth hunting and the importance of taking a kid out there and getting them involved in hunting and the outdoors. I know, like I mentioned, we're going to be kind of referencing our own experiences growing up because you and I both grew up hunting with our dads.
Yep.
And
shout out, Pops.
Yeah, thanks, Dad. It's something that unfortunately is not as common anymore. And every generation, there's less and less kids going out there and hunting with their dad. It's so important, man. It's the future of hunting. And so I'll start by saying that even if you don't have a kid of your own, if you have the opportunity to either help with a charity or an organization, or even with a friend, if you have a friend that doesn't hunt and a kid that's interested and they're willing to let them go out there and try it, then take advantage of it, man. Put some time in and try to bring that passion home for another generation of hunters.
And even if you can't like put them on the biggest tom or put them on the biggest buck or whatever.
Well, the biggest buck's for me.
No, the biggest buck's for Wyatt, which is Sam's son.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, even if you can't get them a giant deer, man, just if they can shoot a doe or anything, it's all about the experience and them having a good time. And I think that will keep them coming back.
And you'll see the passion grow. You
Absolutely.
will, because and I'll tell a story when I first went out there. So the first time my dad ever took me hunting, I was like 6 years old or something, and we went out with another gentleman we didn't have a lease. Another gentleman from our church invited us to go out to his lease and let my dad shoot a doe, put some meat in the freezer. So we go out there. My dad actually shot 2 does that day. The first one was middle of the afternoon. There were a bunch of does feeding in this field, and so my dad and him crept up on the edge of the field, and he shot one. So it dropped right there. So they went out and got it, and I'm tagging along. My dad's trying to figure out, does he like it, does he not? And I'm just out there like without a care in the world. I'm like, okay, whatever,
Yeah.
And so we go out there, and I remember my dad, and he likes to tell this story too. He takes me out there. They get the deer, and they're like, all right, we're gonna field dress her here, kind of on the edge of this creek. And he's like, son, you can just go wander out there. So just wander around. You don't have to be around for this part. I'm like, okay. So I just go out there and I'm wandering around and I get bored. So I slowly throughout, as they're dressing this deer out, I am wandering back over there. And the next thing you know, my dad turns around. I'm standing over his shoulder watching him field dress this deer like, oh, is that the heart? Oh,
that's
man,
awesome.
That's cool. So it's right then, my dad was kind of like, okay, I might have something here. I might have a hunter on my hands, that's good. So, and then later that night, he shot another deer out of a box blind stand. And I remember, he tells this story. He loves this story. He was sitting there, and apparently I fell asleep. And I was rubbing my head on the side of this wooden blind, making all this noise, like this loud scratching noise, just on the side of the stand. And my dad kept having to wake me up, like, "Hey, you're making all sorts of noise." Oh, sorry, and I go right back to sleep. And he ended up shooting another deer that night. So that was my introduction to hunting. That's when I first went out there. And then the next season, my dad he bought me a rifle and actually let me go out there. I shot 1 doe that year, my first deer.
Awesome.
So, and at that point, man, I was hooked.
Heck yeah. I got a similar experience. My dad, he had a rule that if you shot it, you had to clean it.
Oh, okay.
And so, did y'all like fully process the whole thing?
So no, we're yuppies.
Oh, so are we. So are we.
Now, so I have just recently gotten into processing because we always took it to a local processor there. And I'd be lying if I said we still don't, because we use Cinnamon Creek, because they're freaking awesome.
We just used them last season.
Cinnamon Creek is awesome. They do wild game processing here as well. So shout out to them again. It's a rabbit trail. But my Montana antelope in 2018 was the first animal that I've actually processed from start to finish. And I would say myself, but I can't even say myself because our marketing manager Drew Tordick helped me a lot with that.
Yeah.
But so I've since learned a little bit more about processing myself.
Nice.
But to answer your question, at the time, no, we did not process ourselves. Yeah, made a big loop right there, guys. So we're back.
We're back now. But yeah, that was my dad's rule. Was like because what we did was we gutted it right there in the field. Let it bleed out, and then we'd take it back. And if it was cold enough, we'd just hang it in a tree until it was time to go.
Right.
Recently, the place that we hunt on has gotten a walk-in freezer, so we hang them in there, which is really nice, really convenient. But then we would just throw them in the back of the truck and then take them straight to the processor, which was 3 hours away or something like that.
Yeah.
But all that said, my dad's rule was if you shoot it, you gut it. And so it was really neat to get to experience that. It was sort of like a rite of passage.
Right.
In a way, if I didn't want to, he wasn't going to never take me hunting again. But it symbolized the rite of passage,
Right.
I loved it. I thought it was really cool seeing all the insides, it's weird to say, but I think it's really interesting. But
You savage, you.
I know I'm a weird guy, but similar to you, we are also yuppies, so we take ours to the
I say
to the
yuppies.
processor.
Please don't ever call me a yuppie. I do not like that term, but that's the closest thing I have to give myself any kind of comparison to those guys out there who are kick butt and process their own deer every single time. Shout out to those guys.
Yeah.
So another cool thing that we have is, and I know I'm plugging our own content again, but we have a lot on our website for youth hunting as well. And I think a really cool hunt to reference and talk about that we have on video that's on our YouTube channel is, I think it's titled like Ohio Youth Hunt Spring Turkey or something like that.
Correct.
But it's our own field staffer, Kurt Eckelberry, took his buddy and his buddy's son out to try and get the kid his first turkey, and they were successful. It's a cool video to watch, man.
Yeah.
And the kid is freaking pumped that he killed his first turkey. So I love videos like that. I love seeing that happen. And the cool thing about being able to video now and document stuff like that, for us being able to document it for our staffers being able to document it and us being able to publish it, it's awesome because now, unlike when you and I were kids hunting, now those kids, as they grow up and one day with their own kids can be like, here, watch this video. This is my first turkey.
Yeah,
you know?
Technology has come so far, and they'll have that for the rest of their lives.
The current generation of youth hunters, this is really the first generation, with the exception of like some kids that have dads that had like hunting shows and stuff in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Right, yeah.
And document their kids' hunts, but now everybody is filming their own hunts or trying to at some capacity. So whether it's online or not, so many kids now in this generation are going to have those videos to show their kids later on that this is my first hunt, my first kill, you know. And I can't speak for myself again, but I would imagine it would be so cool to be able to see your dad as a kid, just same age as you.
Oh yeah.
You know, killing a turkey or a deer or something.
Yeah, because I'm sure just like our experiences, our dads came up the same way. You know, with our grandpas taking them hunting.
Right.
And so I'm sure they would have the same opinion of wanting to be able to see that.
Right.
Sam was standing up. And then he gave up.
So
and
we
sat
cut a
back
little
down.
bit of it out, guys, but Nick's over here standing up, pacing back and forth because he's excited about his bow. I just got tired of sitting because this is our second podcast to record. So I stood up and we edited that out, and now I'm trying to sit back down while while we're recording. So
I might throw a little segment of it back in there.
I bet you will. I bet you will. So I'm going to throw a jab and a little bit of humor into it.
Uh-oh.
We also have first-time hunters who are big kids.
Yeah, that's true.
on our website, and just because he's an awesome dude and I love him to death, I'm gonna poke fun at you a little bit, Andrew Meeks, for that turkey video that we just published a couple weeks ago on your first ever turkey kill.
Congrats, by the way.
Congrats. You're an adult, but it's your first ever turkey kill. There's nothing in the world wrong with that. But I have never seen a reaction like the one that you had.
Never heard a reaction.
Heard a reaction. I mean, you're literally behind the camera bawling. It sounds like you're bawling your eyes out because you're so freaking
incredible.
Excited. And not only that, but it's a cool shot.
Oh man,
the
it was
solid
awesome.
Broadhead decap did the work
Yeah.
on that one, and oh my gosh.
That was a cool video to edit. It was a funny video to edit as well, which are the best.
Nick and I were together when I first showed you that video. We were working together that day.
Yep.
At our regular job, our place of employment.
Yeah.
And we were on a break, and I showed you that video, and I thought you were gonna freaking die, man. That was so funny.
I lost it.
You
I
lost it. It was so funny.
It
So
was hilarious.
the video is titled "Turkey Decapitated at 5 Yards." So go find that video and watch it. It will make your day.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I know that's a little sidetrack onto youth hunting, but I had to give a shout out to Andy because that video is so
Yeah, dude.
freaking cool.
Yeah, I agree. Another cool hunt that I just thought of was when we were down in San Angelo.
Yes.
Nick Latham, another one of our administrators, was able to bring his son, Dawson. And it was so cool to see Dawson get, do the whole deal. Shoot his buck, recover it, get back, and then process it. To see the whole process, and then for them to get it on video, just like we were just talking about, is so cool.
That was awesome, and that is in our flagship series, Fall Obsessed Outdoors, Season 4, Episode 2. You can see Dawson's kill shot on that. But that, man, I love using that as an example for youth hunting, because Nick brought his son out there, and Nick put more time into getting Dawson a deer than Nick did himself.
For sure.
And Nick enjoyed it. He
Yeah.
enjoyed seeing his son get excited, have a passion for that, and try and just be trying to, work. Dawson was working for it. Dawson wasn't just following his dad and doing what he told him to do. Dawson was trying to put some effort into it. He's 12 years old, and it was awesome to see just the passion in just the few days that we were there just open up. You saw it in his eyes. He loved it. And then, of course, he would come back to camp and he'd go up to every single person and tell them his stories.
He was stoked, and it was cool to hear his side of it too.
I will second what Nick Latham said that one day he was on the podcast with us, and that we got to get Dawson on this podcast at some point.
That would be awesome.
The kid is not only super cool to watch him hunt, and he's super fun, but he is a riot.
Yeah. How old is he?
12.
He's 12 years old, and when I was 12, I didn't sound near as smart as this kid does. Like, he sounds incredibly intelligent for his age.
He's incredibly intelligent, and he's
not that he's not intelligent. He is intelligent for his age.
He's so open. He can sit down with you and have a conversation, almost like, yes, he's 12 years old, but he's not afraid to talk to you.
No,
and that's
not at
what's
all.
awesome is you can have a full conversation with him.
Yeah.
He's got his own ideas
Very
for
impressive
his own
young man.
business and everything. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been awesome to see just within our own staff, within everything that we have going on ourselves, our own group of guys, see the youth hunters coming to life. Seeing our own guys getting involved with youth hunting. Guys, it's work. For an adult, it's work.
Absolutely.
It's been years ago, but I had some younger kids who I kind of mentored for a couple of years in the hunting world, and took them hunting, got them both their first deers. I almost said deers.
I think you did say deers.
No, I stopped.
I think you did.
I didn't. I almost said
We're
deers.
gonna play it back.
All right.
I'll play it back right now.
Deers. No, I did not. I did not say deers.
I think you said deers.
I did not say deers.
We'll see.
Another poll. After the poll on whether Nick's a good host or not, we'll have a poll.
Did Sam say deers?
See if I said deers. So, now I don't even remember what I was talking about.
You were talking about how you mentored two kids and got them their first deer.
Deer. Deer. I got them their first deer. I will emphasize that word from now on. So, it's work. It's a lot of work because
100%.
it's time that there's always in the back of your mind, I could be hunting right now. I could be killing a deer right now. But it's also so rewarding to actually see them have that passion, to see them want to go out there and get it done. It's just it's awesome, man. I remember one of them, he just asked one day if we could go sit out on this ridge. He's like, "Can we go sit on the ridge and just see if anything's moving?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" We go out there, and the first deer that walks out's a freaking stud.
Really?
And he smokes him.
That's awesome.
Was incredible. I was more excited than he was.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I joked earlier about saving the big deer for me. I would have shot this deer in a heartbeat, no doubt. But I was so excited for him, and that was his first deer, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
So seeing it's stressful, it's work, and it's not just work over 1 year, it's work over years. That is a plural word, years.
True, you're right.
It's work over years to kill a deer, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're doing good.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying to stay on track here. I just keep thinking about you playing that back. I'm worried now. What did I really say? But no, it's work it's over a long period of time, and you'll find quickly whether they have the passion or not.
Mm-hmm.
But if they do, I say put them to work. Be like, all right, you want to do this? We're going out here in the summertime in Texas. We're going to plant a food plot. You know?
Absolutely.
We're going to work. This is you. Once you find out if they have that passion, you have to show them everything that's involved.
Yeah.
And show them that it's not just a October through December time span. You know, that's not all that this is. That's just going out there in those times. You're out there in the spring, the summer, and the fall, and the early fall, planning, filling feeders, checking cameras, whatever you do in your area and whatever your legal restrictions allow you to do. You're out there putting the work in. If you're a public land hunter, you're doing a lot of scouting.
A lot.
And it's not always easy. It's hot. It's you get sweaty. You don't always see deer. And I say that as not a super experienced public land hunter myself, but
right.
You guys get the picture. So
I think that's a good segue to maybe explain some life lessons that we've learned in coming up with in hunting, and then you having experienced, mentoring kids in hunting. I think a few that I can just think of off the top of my head are work ethic, because like you said, it is a year long, or not just a year, but you're having to put work in consistently.
yes,
All the time, year round. Whether that be food plots, setting up stands, practicing, whether you're rifle or bow, practicing your shot, getting comfortable behind a rifle if that's what you're using. So work ethic would be one. Patience is another one. Patience for them to, every time you're not gonna see something every time you walk out into the woods.
Yeah.
And then also patience for us, having to mentor these kids and mold them into the ethical, responsible hunters that we are.
yeah, that we're trying to make them into. I remember when I first started taking one of those boys. It was like the first time I ever had with him. The leaves were just starting to fall. We were in kind of a homemade ground blind, kind of hidden stand that we just made.
Yeah.
No roof over our top, just brushed in blind basically, and leaves on the ground. And the whole time he's over there with the leaves that are on the ground. I'm like, stop moving your feet. I'm not gonna see anything. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's little stuff that you gotta teach them at first.
Right.
And
it
it's
might
annoying stuff. It's stuff you don't even think about
Exactly.
anymore.
That's what I was gonna say.
And that's kind of bringing it back to the basics. All of a sudden, you're like, holy crap, he doesn't know anything. But it's your job to teach him. You know? And yeah, work ethic is a huge part of it too. Whether it's preparation before or taking care of the meat after, or however you want to look at it. Getting up early in the morning. You know, I don't ever want to get up early in the morning.
Right. No.
I'm used to it now for work, but
Sure.
like whenever I'm not at work, I don't want to. So
It's nice to sleep in.
yeah, but anyway, it's like I remember with the same kids, we were out there in the heat of the summer. There were cows that were typically on the property, so we planted a food plot and we wanted to keep the cows out of the food plot, so we put up a fence around the food plot.
Yeah.
We're out there in the heat of the summer digging post holes and concreting in wooden posts and building a fence, and it sucked. They complained.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Of course.
sorry, you want to kill a deer off this food plot, you're going to help me build the fence
Heck
for
yeah.
it, So that's another part. I taught them. I made sure that we spent time learning and educating, but at the same time, it was nice to have some helpers with me working too, because building a fence by myself would have sucked. Putting up a box blind by myself would have sucked.
Absolutely.
So take advantage of the little helpers that you have as well. Not only teach them, but putting them to work can also help your back a little bit.
Yeah,
So.
no kidding.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, like with us growing up hunting with our dads, that's one cool thing about getting out there, just spending some quality time with your pops, you know, or with whoever your mentor may be,
So I'm going to tell this story. This was when I was a kid, and my dad was out there. We were out there before the season started. Went down there just a couple days. We actually camped on this lease at the time. We didn't have a house or anything, so we actually camped out there. And so we go out there and we wanted to put this tree stand up, and we really hadn't used tree stands a whole lot up to that point.
Gotcha.
So we're going out there, we find the tree, and it's one of those ladder stands that comes in a box. We'd never opened it before, so we're trying to put this thing together out there in the field, which is the first mistake.
Right.
We should have put it together at the house and then transport it in bigger pieces than it comes in the box. So we're putting this thing together in the field. We get it all assembled, and we're putting the last section of the ladder. You know how they slide into each other?
Yep.
So we're putting the last section of the ladder, and it is not wanting to go in.
Uh-oh.
Like, it is just jamming up. So my dad's on one side, and I'm on the other. And I'm like 11 years old or something, I guess. And we're trying to jam this thing in there. And at the last second, I don't remember, like, if a hand slipped or what happened, but that thing flips around and pops me. That metal ladder pops me right in the face. I fall down backwards, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And my dad's like, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, my nose might have been bleeding a little bit. I don't know, but I was like, I'm fine. Let's just put it together. I'm fine. So I shook it off. We go back to put it back together. It freaking does it again. It flips around, pops me in the head again. I fall over again. And my dad's like, okay, I'm going to go get a hammer. This is ridiculous.
This sounds like a comedy.
Dude, it was, I mean, one time, that's, okay, accidents happen, but then it happened the second time. And it wasn't either of our fault. It just happened.
Yeah.
It was just like, golly, I can't catch a break.
That's awesome.
The first year, too, when I first started hunting, and my dad bought me that rifle that I talked about.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little youth model 243. And up till that point, all I'd ever shot was like a little 22. I'd never shot this is my first time shooting a rifle that was bigger than a 22. And I don't know, I'm like 7 or 8, I guess, I don't know. But the first time I shot it, I get popped right in the, right above the nose with a scope. Freaking bruise that big. I walked into church the next Sunday, and the guy who was on the lease with us that went to the same church, he was like, you shot your rifle for the first time, didn't you? Yes, sir, I sure enough did.
That's funny. That's funny. That's something my dad always told me. He was like, now, and it honestly makes you kind of weary. Yeah. But he was like, hey, this thing's going to kick. Because I can't remember what it was. I think it was a 6mm that I hunted with. Uh-huh. It was a little smaller than his. Yeah. But he said, it's going to kick. So you got to make sure you hold that sucker firm to your shoulder. And then that way you don't hit yourself in the face. Yeah, exactly. And then just having that thought of this thing coming back and popping me in the eye, I was like,
oh, the second time I shot it, I was scared to death.
Exactly. You're like, man, this thing's not very accurate, but it's really just you just being cautious.
But that's another thing is when they fail, make them do it again.
Yeah,
that builds character. It's the same as that old saying. And I had horses growing up, so I can. This is applicable to me. When you get bucked off, you get back on again.
That's literally where the phrase was coined, right there.
My first horse, I got bucked off a lot. No, that's no joke, guys. It happened more than once.
Yeah.
But like putting that ladder stand together, I got hit in the head. I got bagged up and tried to do it again. I still got hit in the head.
Yeah.
And shoot my rifle. I shot it again after that. I got popped in the head. Still hit the target, thankfully, but I shot it again. My dad told me, shoot it again.
Yeah, that's really important.
And so that's the thing, when something happens and it doesn't go right and it could scare them, make them do it again. It builds character.
Yeah. And then that'll teach them, also not every hunt you go on is going to be successful. Mm-hmm. Just because it's unsuccessful, that doesn't mean to stop hunting. Hopefully they'll go back the next year and they'll keep trying and keep trying.
You think about how many unsuccessful hunts we have, whether they're frustrating or not. Like, I consider an unsuccessful, frustrating hunt to be one where you don't see anything.
Yeah. 2
where you shoot and you miss or don't find an animal. Those are unsuccessful, frustrating hunts. I feel like if I go out there and I see deer and I don't shoot one, and I could have, then that's on me. And maybe you beat yourself up because of the deer you should have shot, but that's another thing you teach them is every time we go out hunting doesn't mean that we're going to kill a deer.
Right.
Now, if you're at least a little farther away, you only go out a couple times a month, then maybe your goal is, over a 3-day weekend, you're going to try to bring home 1 deer. Well, you're still there for a 3-day weekend, which means there's going to be unsuccessful hunts over that 3-day weekend,
sure.
unless you're in San Angelo, Texas,
yeah.
on 6,700 acres.
It'll be hard to have an unsuccessful hunt out there.
If you have an unsuccessful hunt out there, that's on you.
Absolutely.
That's what I can say. So, and I know we already did an episode on the rundown on Fall Obsession and everything we got going on our podcast, but there is a story behind this this target-rich environment Nick and I are describing right now.
Yeah.
It's episode 2 of our podcast, so go check it out if you're interested.
Yeah, and that also reminds me, because you said just a little bit ago that if you had a shot at a deer but you didn't take it, it's on you.
Oh, boy.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly
the biggest doe of the trip.
Yeah, the biggest doe of the trip, buddy.
I missed out on it anyways, but it was on me.
Guess who didn't miss out on it?
Old Sammy. He shot her.
I took full advantage of that. I'll tell the story again.
Go for it.
Yeah, you're sitting there, and we had just gotten the green light on a coal buck out of that stand the night before, so we're sitting there that morning, and that big old doe walks out first thing. She's standing there at 20 yards broadside for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, literally.
And I keep Nick's hunting. I'm filming for him.
Yeah, it's my turn.
Yeah,
I'm up.
We're taking turns. That's how many deer are out here. But I keep telling him, like, you gonna shoot her? You gonna shoot her? No, I'm waiting on that buck to come out. Well, guess who never came out?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that buck never came out. Nick ended up shooting a turkey out of there, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
But
my first turkey ever with a bow.
Yeah, exactly. I went back that night and I was like, I'm killing that freaking doe. And I had a different cameraman with me that day. But I went out there and sure enough, that doe walked
Same
out.
thing.
And
like clockwork.
I freaking smoked her. I brought her back to camp. She's the biggest doe anybody killed all week.
Out of 31 deer.
She was a toad.
Yep.
She was a toad.
That was a good time.
Yeah, for me. What'd I say to you?
Could have been mine.
Could have been yours, buddy. Could have been yours.
I don't like to talk about it.
That's a T-shirt idea. I'm gonna write that down.
That's a good one. We should listen to these podcasts back and just make several T-shirts out of little phrases. The rundown would be a good one.
We legitimately could, man. We legitimately could. If you guys have a phrase that you've heard us say on this podcast, send it to us.
Yeah.
We love T-shirt ideas.
Yeah.
So we're always playing around. We don't always make every T-shirt that we come up with, but it's fun to play around with them sometimes and see what kind of concepts we can come up with. So
we got some new ones coming. New ones in the works.
New ones in the works. There's a new hat in the works that is already been ordered. So at the time of this podcast, it may actually be on the website. So it's called the Sharpshooter hat. So be sure you go check that out if it's live yet. If not, keep an eye out for it.
I'm looking forward to that one.
I am too, man.
Gonna pick me one up.
It's a sharp hat. Yeah. And Rabbit Trail. Go check out our merch.
Merch it up.
Merch made by hunters for hunters. So pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I know this is gonna end up being a little shorter episode, but we hope that we gave you guys a little bit of insight into youth hunting, and hopefully a little bit of inspiration. That was kind of the goal, some inspiration to get a kid out there and get him hunting. Maybe a little bit of advice. I don't know. I can never tell if we're doing more rambling or advice on these things, but you guys keep listening, we're doing something right. But we're gonna wrap it up because, like I said, we're at Cinnamon Creek. Nick is looking across the room at a brand new bow.
It's calling my name, guys. It's calling my name.
That we need to go get set up. He's over here pacing, and he's begging me. He's over here making the prayer hands, begging me to go over there and help him set up that bow. I'm going to make him watch Cure Your Obsession and set the whole thing up as well.
Yeah, I'll do it by myself.
I'll just watch. Tell you if you're doing anything wrong.
Yeah, please.
Well, so for this episode, it's me and Nick. It's just us two here. We don't really have any rapid fire questions for this episode because our rapid fire questions have been asked to both of us in previous episodes. So I think it was like episode 17 is when you answered yours, and episode 20, I don't know where it'll fall, but the rundown is where I answered mine. So if you want to know our favorite hunting memories, our bucket list hunts, some advice that we give in different situations, then go listen to those episodes. We give you our perspective and our answers in those. So we're not going to do any rapid fire questions for this episode, unfortunately. I know I like the rapid fire questions, but it'd be kind of repetitive at this point. So we're going to wrap it up. I appreciate you guys listening to another episode of our Fall Obsession podcast. If you have not already, go follow us. Social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We are also on Twitter. And then fallobsession.com is our website. That's the hub. All of our content is on there. So you guys can find whatever you're looking for. We have a wide variety of reviews, articles, recipes, videos, podcast, obviously. We put out a new podcast every week. And on that note, if you're listening to our podcast on your favorite podcast app, hit that follow and subscribe button. That way you get notified every time we put out a new episode. Because while Nick and I may get on here and ramble from time to time, we do have some really cool information, some really informative episodes. The rundown in this one, you may not consider one of them. We'll see how they rank in the download ratings.
Every now and then we have some good info that we'll throw in there.
Yeah, every once in a while we can surprise you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
that's accurate.
And last but not least, if you guys, I don't know if you mentioned it in this episode or the last one, Nick, but if you guys have a suggestion for a topic or a question you want to ask us in a podcast, go to followobsession.com/podcast. There is a spot on the bottom of that page where you can send us your suggestions or your thoughts, and we will get back to you either via email or hopefully address it in a future podcast episode. And if you want to suggest a topic, like I said, you can do it on there as well. So we thank you guys for listening and continuing to endure our rambling. You got anything else for him, Nick?
No, that's all I got, buddy.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate y'all listening, and we will see you again next week for another episode of our Fall Obsession podcast.
See you later.